Up in Big Sky Country lives a man the locals call the preacher. Ranching was never his passion, but with 1,000 head of cattle, a man grows into it. You see, ever since the tragic death of his mother when he and his brother were young, the preacher has set his eyes on things above, and with the year he has had with the loss of his older brother, from a heart attack in Baxter Springs to the recent loss of his father here in Loma, Montana, he has had to step up and be the rancher his father raised him to be while keeping with what the Lord has in store for him. This is his story.
5 dawn, he's 1,000 head strong, but come evening, he's a soul-winning reacher. This is the preacher.
Never thought I'd be back living in Montana. Then again, I never thought my dad would pass away at such a young age. But here I am, hauling a bull to the ranch to try to increase our dairy production. There aren't many dairy cattle here in Montana, but we run about 300 head on a regular basis. Getting them to produce milk, well, that's a different story. Hoping this bull will help with that. You might be asking yourself, how does a bull help produce milk? Well, they don't, but we're hoping to have more calves out of these cows. So with more calves, makes more cows, which hopefully in return will make more milk. And thinking back, this was all Dad's thing. He was the one that took care of the dairy cows, and when I would help out, I'd help out with the beef stock. But here we are at the barn. Let's try to get this pulled in here and get this one bull dropped off and see if it does the trick to produce more of these beautiful milkers here. Let me get this pulled around to the other side and get them dropped off. This will actually be the first dairy bull we've had on the farm in a while. Let me see, we should be getting pretty close to the building here. Oh no, got a ways to go, but I do need to get this door open. Go ahead and get her opened up here. Hopefully this bull's tame enough, because I'm not going to be able to get all the way back against the building. I don't have any gates over here to lock the trailer in. But it always worked out good for Dad, so let's see if I can do the same thing here. There, let's get him offloaded. There he is. He is in the barn somewhere. Must have ran out with the girls already. This is our dairy barn here on the farm. They're all fenced in. I mean, they don't come into the barn too much except for when we feed them hay, but as you can tell, they have plenty of grass out there. But here, you know, hot Montana weather, sometimes the grass doesn't grow the best. Now that we got the dairy barn all situated, need to get some hay in them. I mean, they do have all that grass out in the pasture, but you know, the cows still like to run up and get some fresh hay. So this right here on our right, this is our little hay storage, and this building here, we're going to put silage in it today. We're all out of silage right now. I need to produce some silage, and this bay right here is where the silage is going to be going. But let's pull up here. We'll hop in the tractor, and we're going to try, see what we can do. I got plenty of hay bales in the barn here. Of course, we need to make some more hay too. We do have an alfalfa field ready, but let's hop in the Massey here, pull it up, and we will go ahead and put some square bales in it. The only loader tractor we actually have here on the farm is this Kubota here. But it'll easily pull 3 bales at a time. I shouldn't say easily. It's quite a bit for it to do it, but let me spin this thing around. We'll grab 3 bales and get that dropped off. That'll pretty well fill up our hopper with 3 of them. Thankfully, it does have wheel weights on the back to try to keep the back wheels down. Let's see if I can try to back out of here without hitting the wall. There we go. These 3 put in, and we'll be able to start feeding cattle. It does start getting a little wobbly if I turn too quick. There we go. It should drop off there. Oh, yeah, I hope they stay in. Let's grind them up good, but boy, they want to hop out. Well, let's go ahead and run that tractor over to the dairy barn. It does look like they're all going to stay in there. So we'll actually go back and I will show you some of our beef cattle back here. Got a trail back down this lane. Need to get out here one of these days and cut back some of this brush. It's kind of overgrowing across our trail. But back here is our bigger cattle operation. We actually have 598 limousine heifers in this pen, and there's 2 bulls in there. Ah, they think I'm feeding them, coming up to the bunks already. But let's get over to the dairy barn and drop this hay off. The dairy barn, you know, has 300 Holstein cows, and then of course that 1 bull we just put in there. And we got another pen up on the hill. I'll show you that one later. Let's get through here, a little trail through the trees. Nice and shaded in here though, but we'll get over to that barn and get this hay dropped off for them. Now if I would have gone the way I normally go, we wouldn't have this gate to have to deal with. Normally I just go out onto the road and come right into the barn and I have to worry about any gates, but here we are. We do have just the 1 gate to deal with. Then we'll pull this thing in the barn and drop off whatever hay we got in here. Sure, close this gate so they don't come running out. I've actually been pretty good today. Some days they'll follow me right out the gate. But they're doing good now. Jump back over the gate and hop back in and get this thrown in the barn. Alright, make sure it's going in right. Yeah, it's going good. Oh, looks like we already have a cow coming in. I knew if I'd start feeding them hay, there'd be a cow come in. I thought maybe it'd be more than 1, but just 1 so far. This should give them enough hay to get through the day, and like I said, we'll go make some alfalfa bales later and some silage now. So let's head back to the barn over there and start getting our silage equipment set up. Figured I kind of need that tractor and equipment left here at the hay operation, so we'll just run the pickup and cattle trailer back over. It's actually this cornfield here on our right. That's going to be what we're going to be chopping up. Our house is up there on the hill, as you can see. You can kind of see it up there. That's where we live. But down this trail here is another one of our barns that we keep all of our harvesting equipment in. So we'll run up here and we'll hop in that silage chopper. And here is our we have 1 horse actually on the ranch. His name is Oliver, named after my dad's favorite tractor. But here we are. This is where all of our harvesting stuff is stored. Let's park the pickup here. Hopefully it'll be out of our way. There we go. Run in. Try to get that big door opened up. And got a couple combines in there as well. But right now we just need the chopper. The wagon's also up in here. There we go. There's our crone wagon. Flip this door open. And right behind it we actually have a New Holland chopper. Where most of our hired hands come to have their breaks and set up camp, start their days. But we'll get this thing fired up and try to see if we can weasel our way out of here to hook that wagon up. We might just have the tractor hook it up. I'm not sure yet. It's kind of a tight fit. I really don't want to run into one of our combines. I think if I can turn the back end, since it's steers with the rear, obviously, we can get out of here. Try not to run over our little Kubota that we just parked. Alright. There we go. Perfect. Alright, let's get this thing set up. I'm just going to run this thing down to the field, and we'll have a hired hand probably run the chopper, and then we'll follow along with that wagon there. So let's get her back in the field. Thankfully it's not very far away. And of course I don't have any tractors over here, so we're going to take the Kubota here, run it over back to where we had all the cattle set up. But actually, you know what? We're going to run up the hill, I think, up to the house. I got a tractor up there that'll work great, a Fent, a much bigger tractor than we have down here. So let's go up and I'll show you our other group of cattle. I actually have 100 Angus cattle up here. All cows, so they'll be... Oh, we need to get a bull, I guess, put in this pen. I don't have any bulls up here yet. So maybe next month I'll try to get another bull or 2 hauled in. I mean, it's quite a little trail in the wintertime. This is treacherous. That's why all of our vehicles are 4-wheel drive. There you can see a few of our cattle here on the path. This was not part of the original farm that Dad had bought. This came years later. This is where all of our grain storage is, and most of our planting operation is up here. We actually have a Volvo truck there in that building on our right. Here's our big seeder. But let me get this thing parked and get things started. Get down to the field and when we start that chopper. I already got the hired hand ready to go. She was already in the tractor, but this is our Fendt 1042. They're fired up. We'll run this thing down and hook up to that Krone wagon. One problem that I'm having here in Montana that my brother in Baxter Springs really didn't have problems with is when it's harvest time, everything is ready at once. With all these fields coming up, we got the silage to do today. We've got that alfalfa field we've got to get taken care of today to try to get enough bales to get through. There's too many head of cow, really. I don't know if we're going to keep them all, or Dad raised 1,000 head for years and had no problems, but he was a little bit more experienced than I was at this. There she goes. She's starting up. Ooh, I don't know why she wants to go that way, but hopefully she's got a plan. Of course, we're going to run over some of the corn doing this, but I'll run beside her here and try to get some of this filled up. Not sure how much our little silage pit will hold. Hopefully enough. I do know we do have another silo in the back that Dad used many years ago. We could start taking some up there if we had to. Well, I'll go ahead here and get some of this chopped up, and then once we get a load, we'll take you to the barn with us and show you the silage pit.
Sun dips low, horizon gold. Dusty trails begin to unfold. A heart so big, a faith so bold. Rancher's tale to be retold. Living life on sacred ground. Cattle grazing, church bells sound. Out there in the sleepy town, spreads the word where lost are found. Rancher rise through day and night, guiding souls to heaven's light. Love and grace he does recite. In his mission spirits take flight. Evening falls on endless plains. Stars above like silver chains. Sins are washed in gentle rains. Hope restores and love sustains. Living life on sacred ground. Cattle grazing, church bells sound. Out there in the sleepy town, spreads the word where lost are found. Living life on sacred ground. Cattle grazing, church bells sound. Out there raising, church bells sound. Spreads the word where lost are found. Living life through day and night, guiding souls to heaven's light. Love and grace he does recite. In his mission spirits take flight.
Well, that didn't take too long to fill up. But now my problem is I'm kind of in a bad spot to try to turn this thing around. I really can't back it up. Of course, trees in my way. So I'm going to have to just probably gun it and go through the corn. That's all the only other way to do it. I'm not backing all the way out of this field. And of course, we'll lose a little bit of crop here, but we'll get it turned around. There we go. Head back to the building there where I can drop this silage off. Silage was something my brother and we helped Dad out a lot on. Always did a lot of silage growing up. Of course, back then it was just kind of out in the open, didn't have a roof over top, but it still did the trick. I really liked when we'd use the old silo out back, and then you just dump it in the building and done. But here we go, we got our first dump dropped in. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish filling this thing up, and we'll see in a little bit when she's all full, as long as I don't pull out in front of that car. Ooh, that was a little closer than I wanted to get. But let me go finish filling this silage pit up. Well, I do believe it's going to be as full as we can get it. The back door on the wagon started to hit the rafters when we come through, and I really don't like that. So we got our leveler here. We're trying to smooth it out as best we can. I've got a couple spots in there that I filled out a little higher than I should. I think we can get up in there and try to bring it down just a little bit. I'm going to try to push some of this back in. Of course, sticking outside of the silo here, it won't get wrapped like it's supposed to. And I don't have enough plastic wrap to do both sides. I only got enough tarping for the one side here. So I'll just go ahead and just fill the one, and then we'll use the silo harvester out back for the rest. Hey, we're trying to get this packed in good. Of course, I don't know if I'm helping it any or making it worse by running that leveler in front. Seems like every time I get up in there, it digs in deeper and makes it worse. But let me drop this roller here off, and we'll just finish. Well, here. Got to fold it up, I guess, first. But we'll just use the leveler in the front to try to do the rest of it. Push the rest of this here in. It's all the way compacted. I just got to get it all in so we can get it covered right. There we go. Oh, come on. Just a little bit left. I might not worry about that. Try to smooth out that one little high spot. There we go. Looking a little better. A little better. Of course, it won't really matter. We'll just use a big loader to load it. I actually don't have a loader for it right now. All I have is that little Kubota tractor, and that one's really not big enough to take big scoops. So what I'll probably end up doing when this is all fermented, we'll probably come in here with a big front loader and start doing it that way. Let's drive over one last time. Yeah, I got a bad spot right there, of course. That's a real bad spot too. Almost get high centered in that little puppy. So I can try to get around it here, pack it down a little bit. Uh-oh. Oh boy, come on, girl. Let's get out of this. Oh, a little bit more. A little bit more. Oh, there we go. Woo! I was going to have to go get another tractor and pull me out. But go park this off to the side and we'll tarp it up here. There we go. Alright, let's see if we can get a tarp thrown on it. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to ferment. There we go. Alright, all tarped up, ready to go. I'll hop back in the Fent tractor and we'll go back to chopping some corn, because in the far distance, I don't know if you could see it. You probably couldn't quite see it there, but there is a harvester back there. So we'll get grabbing the Fent. Here we go, back to chopping more corn. I never did understand why we put the silo back here, but I mean, it makes a little bit of sense because, you know, this is where some of the cattle are, but, and of course back then, you know, we didn't have all the cattle up on the hill, so this was probably a central location. But go ahead and start dropping this off in the silo. I'm not sure if it'll hold the rest of our cornfield or not. It probably will. It's a pretty good sized silo, really. Probably be easier just using it than using the bunker silo, but you know, the bunker silo, you know, it's more convenient right there next to where we keep our hay bales. Well, there we go. Got the one off, and we'll start finishing up that field and bring it all down here. So we'll see you when we get it all wrapped up. Well, we almost have it finished up. You know, it didn't take too long to do this field. I was a little worried when, you know, I first heard that Dad had passed away unexpectedly, that, you know, when I came back to the farm and knew I was going to have to start doing it myself, I saw just the one silage chopper. I'm like, ugh. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that field done with one chopper in the short time that we have to try to get the harvest in before it, gets so far along that we have to actually combine the corn. And I really don't want to do any corn combining. We got our own crops up on the hill that's going to be due in a month or two, but again, I want to just try to stick with just chopping corn and make some silage. I knew we needed silage, and obviously Dad did too. That's why he planted this big field in corn this year. But I do know, I believe there's one head size bigger for this chopper. Now we might next year, upgrade it, because that'd be a lot cheaper to upgrade the head than get a whole nother chopper. I don't have unlimited funds here. I mean, Dad did have a lot of stuff. He did really well operating this farm, this ranch. But I don't know how to manage it very well. I don't want to waste money. Try to use with just what Dad had. Spin this thing around, and should be maybe the last pass, and this field will be wrapped up. We can get onto that alfalfa field. Be glad to be done chopping corn, that's for sure. This is just one project you do just once a year, unlike the alfalfa that we have several run-ins. But all right, well, that's done. Let's go back to the silo, get this dropped off, and see how many total liters we got out of it. I'm pretty sure if I'm running my calculations right, with this load here, we're going to be over 700,000 liters of silage. Well, chaff right now. It will be silage, hopefully soon, because as you know, our cattle, we have no silage. All we're doing is feeding hay and what little grass is, on the ground. But there we are. Let's get this tractor back, and we'll get the tractors ready, and we'll start mowing that alfalfa field. One thing I haven't shown you yet is Dad actually kept his very first tractor he bought brand new. I mean, he had a lot of older tractors. We still have a few here on the farm, but here are the 6680 Agco Alice. This was his very first one that he bought brand new for the farm. And it's got some hours on it, but it is a nice one. Gonna go ahead and we'll probably hook this thing up to the tedder. Here's our tedder here. It's plenty big enough for that. It's not a very big tractor, but it'll do the job. At one time he did have a front loader on this. He took it off and just used it for little hay jobs here and there. I mean, it was pretty well retired, but we're going to bring it out of retirement and put it back to work, because we'll need the Massey Ferguson later on to do some of the bigger projects. Let me get this thing run down the road here, and we'll show you our big alfalfa field. Of course, I don't know, for a gravel road, this road has a lot more traffic than you would expect. Well, this is our alfalfa field here. It's actually quite a little ways away from the rest of the farm. As you can tell, if you look in the distance there, the town is right behind us. Big silo back there. Look at this thing unfolded, and kind of looks like she's only gone around at one time. There she is, coming around right now, actually. Just made one pass, getting ready to start making her second one. Then we will follow in behind and try to get this all tedded up. And I'm not sure if it'll be all dried today or not. We'll have to see if it's going to be dry enough to bale, or if we're just going to be able to get it tedded and maybe raked a little later. We'll get this thing fired up, and we'll follow on behind. I have screwed up before and forgot to actually turn it on, and I'm not sure how far I ended up going, but looked back once like, uh-oh. Turn around, let's do it again. Of course, I had all kinds of hay all piled up because it was down on the ground, but it wasn't tedding any. But as hay being our biggest crop that we need, as you can see in our overhead map here, we actually have field 9. That is our grass field. We also have what we're in now, 13, our alfalfa field. Up in field 11 is our lentil field. So of course we're not going to get any hay out of that, but we do have field 12 that right now is sitting dormant. So I have debated on actually trying to maybe either plant that whole field in alfalfa or grass, or split that one in half and make 2 fields out of it. Because as you can tell, this field 13 is a very good sized field. Let me go ahead. Looks like she's catching up with us, passing us with the mower, so we will continue mowing this up. Well, not mowing it, but tedding it up as she mows it, and then we will try to get this thing into some bales. almost finished. I got somebody finishing up the tedding right now. We're going to run back to the other barn and grab a tractor, and we're going to come out here and start raking it up. I think it's drying out. The sun is shining really bright today. Well, I kind of thought the Kubota tractor would be a good tractor to go with the Kubota rake. So here we are back at the alfalfa field. Kind of wish she wouldn't have missed all those spots with the mower out there, but you know, she got most of it. It's not too bad. This thing always folds out so slow. There we go. Get her drop down, get her started. There's a few spots down by the river. I'm afraid it may not quite be dry enough yet. But up here, this area, I mean, I think shouldn't be wet, is what I should say. So it should be dry enough. So we'll go ahead and get this all raked up, and once we get down to the river, I'll show you what I mean by a few wet spots that were left. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about down by the river. You can see these little green spots left. It's just not quite all the way dry enough. As you can see in my windrow, there's a few little spots as well, because like I said, we are right next to the Missouri River. I'm not seeing too many spots. Here's one. This spot's not all the way dry. I think most of it's dry enough that we won't have too much of an issue. But I'll hop back up into the tractor and finish getting this all raked up. I want to get it done before it gets too late tonight. I need to get to the house, get cleaned up, and go out door knocking tonight. And here we are, last little bit left. Didn't take too awful long. Sun's still up at least. And all the hired hands have gone home for the day. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of rows out here. I'm not sure how many bales it's going to make, but it'll definitely stock up our building again. And then next month we'll be ready to mow that grass field over by the harvester barn. But I will finish this up and head back to the house.
Each evening after a hard day's work, this rancher heads out to his neighbors to tell them the story that is hard for anyone to tell, especially when he was only 10 years old when he started telling it. A story about the tragedy that happened to his family when a freak accident started a fire in their double-wide trailer that ended up taking the life of his mother, a mother that sadly didn't know the Lord and Savior. Well, ever since the funeral, when the pastor gave a message that would stick with this boy and his brother for the rest of their lives, a story that he wanted everyone to hear, a story that leads to hope, love, and everlasting life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.